Well, it's good to see you here in the afternoon. It's about 6:30 p.m. in the Heartland. And, of course, tonight at 10 p.m., we've got Late Night in the Heartland coming up. Tonight we've got the one, the only Mike King. He's going to talk about the hidden truth of World War II. And then on tomorrow night, we're going to have Joseph Atwell talking about Caesar's Messiah. Friday night, I'm not sure what we've got. We've got Bigfoot guys coming up. We got guys that have been into the caverns and talked with mutants and hybrids. We got all kind of stuff coming up. People that are reptilians. It's going to be some interesting stuff coming up here on Late Night in the Heartland. But today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that seems a little silly, but yet I think has profound implications for everything that we do. And speaking of profound implications, focused life force energy will have profound implications on your life. It's high consciousness on demand. They beam high consciousness right to your location. Whether it's your cell phone, whether it's your home, you can live in a high frequency resonance, and that's a great way to help increase your frequency on a natural and regular basis. So go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on that Focused Life Force Energy or FLFE logo, and you will be glad that you did. I promise you. So we're going to jump right into our little presentation. Probably not very long today because, we've got a 2-hour show tonight where we open up the phones, we take your calls and all that good stuff. But I want to talk to you today about seeing reptilians. And it should have probably been a colon there. Seeing reptilians. Why? Because phase shift is upon us. And we cannot afford to cheat this, ladies and gentlemen. We can't afford to fudge this. We can't afford to... Somebody says that, Tony says that Focused Life Force Energy even called him today to answer a question. Doesn't surprise me at all. That's the kind of people they are. So we are seeing more reptilians, and we are doing this because there is a phase shift that is upon us, or are we upon the phase shift? But either way, it works out the same in the end. And I want to welcome all the cousins. I want to welcome all the visitors. And I want to welcome all the trolls, because even though you're not real people, your being here moves us up the algorithms and allows more real people with open minds and that are here to learn to get this broadcast organically. So thank you very much. Never mind the barking dogs. You'll hardly notice them as we roll through this presentation. Seeing reptilians, phase shifts upon us. We must not cut corners. We need to get this right. Now, maybe you've heard of these third eye tests. I recently became aware of certain third eye tests and third eye testing techniques. Now, I don't really think they mean literally your third eye, because I think the tests are designed to help you train to develop the ability to pick up on and see subtle energies around you. Now, subtle energies, what is subtle energies? You're not right, Nikita. Subtle energies are those that are outside the spectrum that normies, that regular people can see. They're outside the spectrum of what they can see because they don't try to see outside that spectrum, ladies and gentlemen. They don't try. Now, if you listened to our program last night, you had many callers, and it wasn't just last night. This is a regular occurrence, both on our electronic communication and the phone calls. We are having a lot of callers that, and a lot of comments that people are beginning to see, for lack of a word, creatures around them. And, one man's creature is another man's, husband or wife or whatever, because you remember that classic Twilight Zone where the kid was all super deformed and they were going to send him off to this other place, and the person from this other place was going to take his place like an exchange. And she was a beautiful woman, but in her place, she was horrid. And this kid was, to our eyes, all twisted and deformed. but over in that world, he was a stud. So we don't really know if they're creatures. We don't really know that they're monsters. We just know that we're beginning to see things, entities, beings that are not human. We are seeing different kind of people. We're seeing people and scenery. We're seeing people, scenery, and things just disappear and appear out of or from out of nowhere and into nowhere. We're starting to see different kinds of beings. I mean, just last night, I think it was last night, wasn't it? Last night, night before, we had people reporting that they've seen dragons, small dragons, big dragons. People are seeing large human-esque or humanish bats. That's right, bats. And the funny thing is, the bats, which are scary, most of them seem to be protective, which is a little key to what we're talking about tonight. Shadow men, orbs, ghouls, gargoyles, grays, short grays and tall grays, reptilian beings, insectoids, and the list goes on and on. Are these people crazy? I say quite the opposite. I say they're the most sane amongst us. And Tracy hits on a great point that there are, that's not the one I was trying to hit. Tracy hits on a great point that other beings, there's things going on simultaneously. Are we rising our vibration? Yes. And are other vibrations lowering? I think they're condensing. And what used to be high is now being condensed. So what we're seeing is some beings that used to be vibrating and phasing too high for us to see, even normies, are now coming down where they're glitching, where they're flickering, and people are able to look and say, hey, something is wrong. Have you seen Joe Biden lately? And is it just a coincidence that as frequencies falling and frequency is rising, that they come out with this thing of everybody needs to wear a mask to cover everything but their eyes? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. Is it a big agenda? Is there many reasons? Yes, but one of those big reasons is the mask. And I personally today have run into my first personal loss regarding the mask. I'm supposed to be right now somewhere I wanted to be. I wanted to do this, wanted to be there. And I personally, because I would not put on a mask, was unable to participate in something that would be fun, that would be joyous, that would be happy. So now it's become personal for me. Really the first time that I have had to not do something. I mean, I'll go shop somewhere else and I'll go somewhere else. You know, and the football and the hockey bothered me a little bit too because they did the kneeling thing and I can't be a part of that. But I didn't really need to be a part of sports anymore anyway. But this one got me. So now it's personal, folks. And now I'm really personally vested, so now I'm even more upset. Don't wear the mask. Take a stand. We all need to just take those things off, and we just need to throw them into the trash, folks. So we've had many callers seeing these things, and are all these people crazy? I say no. I say nay. In fact, they're probably the most sane amongst us. In research and time, and I spend a lot of time researching, research and time have convinced me that as people become less self-important, and that's a key, as people become less ruled by out-of-control ego. Now, notice I said out-of-control ego. Ego is vital. Ego is your amigo. Ego makes a great servant, but it makes a lousy master. And those that are mastered by their ego are no good for anybody, including themselves. And you can see it, but they can't. That's the funny thing. But those that are ruled by ego is your amigo. You need ego to win. You need ego to play this game. Life is a game, and you need ego to win this game. But ego needs to be your amigo. It needs to be your servant, not your master. But people that become less self-important, that become less ruled by out-of-control ego, people that become less rigid in their beliefs, what Magenta Pixie calls mental elasticity or plasticity, being able to hold competing ideas in your mind, because that way your mind will gather all the data from both sides instead of shut you off from one side. Why would you cut yourself off of half the things that you could learn? You wouldn't if you were smart. And as people become more open-minded, they're experiencing extended perception abilities. They're kind of developing superpowers. They're able to see things that have always been there, but that no one else or very, very few can see them. Still very few, but more and more. And they are the first generation of new humans. We always say we're the last generation of real humans, and I believe that. But also, we're the first generation of new humans in the very best sense of the words. Humans 2.0, optimized humans. We're the first generation, the last generation of real humans, the first generation of optimized humans. Now, some believe that this extended perception, some people believe that this growth can be taught. And one of the ways that people attempt to teach this is through these various exercise in visual acuity and exercises in perceptive extension. I say yes, it can be taught, and no, it can't. So I say yes and no. Why yes and no? Well, experience and time again. But let me show you. I think I'm going to show you this now. I'm going to show you. This is one of the tests that they're talking about. This is one of the tests. Now, I don't know how well you can see this on the screen, but if you, what's it called? It's called, I can't remember the name of the person on YouTube that does it, but you should be able to see it. If you keep your eyes right here in the middle, and just keep your eyes focused there in the middle. There's a cross there. Keep your eyes focused, and you'll see things begin to happen with these faces to either side. So for fair use and education, we're going to go ahead and play this for you. Again, keep your eyes focused on this cross and watch what happens as you view this video. Keep your eyes focused on the cross and what's happening as you view the video. Yeah. What's happening as you view the video? Well, we'll do it one more time. Keep your eye on the cross. And as you do, you should be able to see the people that are pictured shifting into creatures, the people shifting into non-human, some would say revealing their non-human essence. Now, don't get hung up on who's in the pictures, but this is an exercise that is supposed to allow you to focus on something and see what else is around you through periphery, much like when you can, how you learn how to read auras. But the problem with this particular video is that it contains doctored images. And the perception that this video is creating is that we can't do this straight, that we have to do it with doctored images. And that is so not true. Let me see if I can show you what I mean about doctored images. I'm going to just look at the left-hand side first. And so you can see her eyes have been doctored through Photoshop. More eyes have been doctored through Photoshop. Whoops. So they've gone, it's not working the way I wanted to do. So they've gone through this video and they've doctored some of the eyes. They have distorted some of the faces. And I think they probably had a good idea in mind. They're trying to help you see things morph and change, but you don't have to do that. And to me, it cheapens it and it cheats it. It's the lick a frog, take a pill, smoke something, swallow something, snort something to get something that you're really not ready for mentality. And you know I'm against that mentality. So don't go the cheap route. Don't go the cheater route. Don't take the shortcuts. Learn, grow, develop in all ways, ladies and gentlemen. Never take the shortcuts, because the shortcut usually turns into the wrong turn. The shortcut will most of the times turn into the wrong turn. And we can't afford that, because the only way you can really get your power is to pay your bill. The only way you can get your power is to pay your bill. And I've got to stop using the sleaze stack, because even people on our channel don't have the maturity not to get lost talking about the sleaze stack and cartoons when we're trying to have a serious discussion that could change your life. The reason I use the sleaze stack is because it is something that we all understand, and they were a benevolent reptilian race. I'm trying to make a point, but please grow up. This is not kindergarten. Please stop talking about cartoons. Please stop talking about HR Puff and stuff in the sleaze stack and tune in. This is important. It could change your life. Or if you don't have the maturity level required enough to engage in this discussion, feel free to leave and come back later when you've got yourself under control. This is serious business, folks. And these techniques, if we practice them enough, will help us if, and only if, we've done the personal work needed to get us to the level of perception that's necessary to put this into practice. If you haven't done the work, if you haven't paid your bill, you don't get the power. And if you haven't done your work, trying to do this is only going to lead you to frustration, and it's only going to lead you to make-believe delusion. And I hate to be the one to inform you. Really, I don't. Somebody's got to inform you. It might as well be me. If you're at the place where you try to do these exercises, they only frustrate you, and you have to make up and say, oh, yeah, I see it, when you really don't, that means you're not at the place you need to be, and you need to go back and start doing the personal work. Now, my problem with this particular test, as I've shared, is that it lends itself to delusion because it's not a straight-up legit test. It's skewed. I told you about that. I showed you a couple of quick examples. If you slow it down, you can see it. It's designed to distort perception. And it's designed to lower this so low that everybody can say, oh, yeah, I see it. Everybody can see it if it's distorted and if it's dumbed down. You cannot dumb down ascension. You cannot dumb down true spirituality. And you cannot dumb down optimization, even though YouTube is filled with people trying. So please, know that when you're talking about ascension, if you call it that, when you're talking about raising your vibration, when you're talking about optimization, shortcuts are always wrong turns. Always. And it may look good at the beginning, but at the end, and it's like my granddaddy used to tell me, if you don't do it right the first time, you'll always have to make time to do it right the second time. So develop mental and spiritual discipline, ladies and gentlemen. And we can't afford to cheat this. We can't afford to cheapen this because this is an increasingly valuable and needed skill, especially as we see things escalate around us. We need to be able to see what's around us in order to understand its effects on our energy. And a lot of you people spend a lot of times in places that if you could see around you, I'm not sure you'd still be there. If you were watching YouTube channels that won't be named and you could see the energies and the entities and the people that are hanging out there and subscribed there, you might not anymore. If you could see the entities that are around you and boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, in-law, outlaw, places you go, things you do, you might not hang around there anymore. Let me ask you this question. If you could see what was around you in your environments, where you spend a lot of your time, do you think that might affect your decision to spend time in those environments? Delaney Black Pearl Jones, don't rush to get something important finished because you won't. Do you think if you could see what was around you in certain environments, it might affect your decision to spend time in those environments? If you think you could see who was, would you? I don't know. I don't know. And this ability, it's not all bad news because this ability lets us see environments where things are wrong so we can leave those environments, be they channels, be they people, be they teachers, be they locations, be they clubs, groups, friends, etc. It'll allow us to see the bad things that are going on, the unbalanced things, the things that aren't helpful and contributory towards our optimization, but it will also help us detect the presence of potential allies. If you're watching a channel and you could see into the spiritual subtle realm, which you can if you're willing to do the work, you can't take a pill and see. You can't lick a frog and see. You can't smoke something and see. You can't. Sorry. You got to do the old-fashioned way. You got to earn it. You got to work for it. If you could see, you're at a channel, you could see, all high energy service to other benevolent type people and beings. Do you think that would cause you to go back there? If it's a place that you go to, if it's friends that you have, if it's a group that you belong to, and you see and tell it's just beautiful, powerful, optimizing energy, it makes you feel better, stronger, faster, it makes you raise in your consciousness, would that affect your decision to stay there? I think it might. I think it might. And let me ask you this question, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Steady Eddie, I think about you every time I put on that coat, which is often. Do you really think that humans are the only sentient species on this earth? Do you think that human beings are the only sentient species here on this earth? I would suggest to you, if you do, that you might want to broaden your perspective a little bit. And if human beings are not the only sentient species here on this earth, do you really think that human beings are the only sentient species on this earth that's pissed off about what's going on? Do you? If we haven't found them yet, they're smarter than we are. And if they're smarter than we are, I guarantee you they're dissatisfied with what's taking place within this matrix. I'm convinced that we have allies that we know not of. I believe that we have allies in all other races that we know not of. I believe that we have allies from other species as well that we know not of. And there's a reason why the media, the regime media, is doing everything it can to convince us that every single reptilian entity is really, really, really bad. That every single entity that's not human is really, really, really bad. The only exception to me that's notable too is, the Twilight vampires, they were helpful. Some of them. And that's probably the truth. I think there are vampires. I think there are malevolent vampires. And I think there are some benevolent vampires. Same with the reptilians. Same with all other entities and species that also inhabit this earth upon which we live. So I'm convinced that we've got allies from all human races, and we have allies from other species as well. I guess we should really start saying that we're the last generation of real earthlings, the first generation of optimized earthlings, because we're not the only ones here. I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced we're not the only ones here. And I'm convinced we're not the only ones here that are pissed off with what's taking place. And I'm convinced that we're not the only ones here that want to make this place better and make this place a better place to live as well. I'm convinced of that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm convinced that if you are shifting in phase, that you're going to start seeing reptilians, and that we cannot afford to cheat this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. And you can't afford not to be here tonight at 10 p.m. Central Time as we welcome Mike King of RealHistoryChan.com, and we talk about a very important subject, the hidden history of World War II, because World War II is the seminal event that has built the entire world that we live in today. And if you don't understand what really happened in World War II, you can't possibly understand what's really happening in this world to you. So be here tonight at 10 p.m. We'll be here till midnight with Mike taking your calls. We'll be here with Mike probably for an hour, and then we'll start taking your calls. Let me look real quickly into the chat room. I'm high in Daytona Beach. Love Star makes a good point. Gargoyles were for protection. And it says a myth. It may not be a myth at all. We have to understand the word myth. And when we believe that gender means sexuality, then we'll believe anything. Gender is a word that just deals with language. We've allowed them to steal the language. But myth doesn't mean that it's not true. Myth means it's epic, that it's larger than life. It's mythic. So the gargoyle is a mythical creature, but it doesn't mean that the gargoyle is not real. And as Brandon shared with us last night, what if the Tartarian gargoyles weren't just stonework, sculpture? What if they were real? How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Very, very possible. Holly says, it seems like something's going on. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. I swear the tech guy at the job today was a lizard. He smelled so bad, but it appeared cleaned and well-groomed. That's very interesting. Let's see. I wish you could see into my daily life. I don't know if I wish I could or not, Delaney. Sounds like you got some crazy stuff going on down there. Some crazy stuff going on down there. Kimberly sees the difference. I'm glad that you do. Mark Mile says he sees non-human beings. What else we got here, folks? What else we got here? We got a lot of good stuff. I can't possibly put all these great comments in. So, folks, I want to invite you to be back with us at 10 p.m. tonight for Late Night in the Heartland. And I want to invite you to like this channel. I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on your way out. Tonight, Mike King, World War II. Tomorrow, Joe Atwill, Caesar's Messiah. Friday, we'll do something spectacular and fun. Sunday night, I think we're going to have a live interview with Bill Hicks. That's right, Bill Hicks. You want to find out how we're going to do that? Just show up. And tonight, folks, one more shameless plug, and it is Late Night in the Heartland tonight, 10 p.m. until midnight Central. You'll be able to call in, but not right now. And we will be welcoming in Mike King. Until tonight, I want to salute you all for being here, seeking after truth. Special, special love to the cousins. We are family. You know that. To the visitors, we appreciate you so very much. Please think about subscribing. Just do it. Just do it. And to the trolls, thank you, our lovable little trolls, allowing us to progress up the YouTube algorithms so more real people can actually organically see these videos. Until tonight at 10 p.m., this has been the Unindoctrination Station, and I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, saluting you for being here, seeking after truth.